Probably need the microphone on. I'm so good at this. I'm a master. Absolute champion. Chapter 5. I can't believe I went through the whole of chapter 4 yesterday. Not yesterday. Why do I talk words? Alright, I think is it answers time? Is it finally answers time? I'm so hyped for answers.
何をぼさっとしている。さっさとしろ。お邪魔します。
Is this her place?
人の家の中をじろじろ無遠慮に見るものじゃない。
I kind of figured they were gonna go to the agency or whatever.
家ってもしかしてここが久野里さんの？
そうだ。何か問題でもあるのか？
いや、だって。
No, don't say anything. For your safety, no, there is no problem. The outside wasn't much better, but looking inside, it was hard to believe that there was still apartments this dumpy in Shibuya. Do not say these things out loud. The same was true of everything else in the room. Everything in the apartment was the cheapest kind you could buy. The only thing that was worth anything was the computer.
Huh? どうした？宮下。
I pushed Ito out of the way and ran over to the computer. The monitor was still on, and the page there was one I'd seen many times. Shibuya News. It wasn't the display version of the page that we'd seen so many times. The page was in the process of being edited.
嘘。もしかして、ケイさん?
Yeah, I hate to break it to you, bud. Never meet your heroes. Never meet your heroes. So that was it. I thought I'd heard her voice somewhere before. Her voice was just too different from the gentle Kei that we were used to hearing. But that voice was, without a doubt, Kei's.
嘘、マジ？ケイさんってあのケイさん？渋谷ニュースの？
Ito was pretty excited too, it seemed. Of course he was. Kei was someone we both admired. She was the ultimate right-sider. Since even I admitted it, she had to be at the top of her class. I never thought I'd be able to meet her like this, though. But, unfortunately, she's the worst. I can't say I ever imagined Kei having a weird personality like this. Kunosato, the girl who'd been insulting us the whole evening, was the same person as the gentle Kei that we knew from Shibuya News. Which was the real one? I didn't know. I mean, that's... can hazard a guess. And why had Kei brought us to her room? I thought I'd remembered her saying she'd decide if she could use us later. Go with this one. I looked over and saw something strange in the corner of the room. The best way to describe it would be to call it a sword. Looks like, I mean, obviously the colors are different, but the style is like, Senna's D-sword. But I wasn't sure if most people who saw it would think that. Its design was complicated and, frankly, unrealistic. For some reason, looking at it made me feel uneasy. I mean, that was my favorite one of the 7. There were 7. 8, I guess, technically. It made me feel really bad, actually. What was that? If someone told me it was for cosplay, I'd probably believe them. If nothing else, it didn't match the image I had of the person in front of me. Not the Kei I knew from Shibuya News. Or the Kunosato who'd been swearing at me the whole night. Did she maybe have a third identity? Maybe she was a famous cosplayer. Or maybe she was a toy artisan who made life-size weapons. Maybe she was an otaku who collected swords like this. Either way, it felt like a bad idea to mention it. I think this is like the longest chunk of stuff in between a trigger choice and the actual like activation. Interesting. Best to just ignore it. Best to pretend I never saw it. It's too late. There's no going back.
宮代。
え？
その件が気になるのか。
Kunosato brought it up. I was trying my hardest to ignore it.
いや、別に。
I tried my best to laugh and avoid looking at it. Come on, don't make me talk about this with you. I just knew it was going to end badly. But Kunosato took up the blade with a calm look on her face. She swung it around and assumed a fighting stance. Her moves were graceful and beautiful. For a moment, I fell in love. This sword was the perfect weapon for her. I didn't know why, but that's how it seemed. She swung the sword right in front of my eyes. I could hear the sound of it cutting through the wind. No. I could see some of my bangs falling to the ground. It was incredibly sharp. If it touched me, it would slice me in half. It would tear me apart. I gulped.
お前たちを。お前をここに連れてきたのは他でもない。口封じのためだ。私は内閣特殊調査室のスーパーエージェント久野里美代。コードネームは青の剣士。
Azure Swordsman.
お前は今渋谷で進行中の極秘プロジェクトについて知ってしまった。故に生かしてはおけないんだ。許せ。
Huh? Kunosato took a step forward, moving as if she were about to begin a dance. It only took an instant.
タク、あれ、私。
No! A spurt of blood burst from Serika's chest, and she fell over. What just happened? I hadn't even seen Kunosato swing her sword.
全員生かしては返さん。呪うなら自分の運命を呪え。
やめろ。やめてくれ。
Ito screamed and fell, blood pouring from his chest. I still couldn't see it. The sword moved so fast. This was the power of the Azure Swordsman. Of the super agent, the Azure Swordsman. Kunosato turned toward me. I had only a few seconds left to live. But for some reason, as she held the blade that killed Serika and Ito, Kunosato seemed so beautiful.
お前が見ている景色は本物ではない。世界はすべてエラーだ。
Those were the last things that Kunosato said to me. Then everything went black. Maybe it was some small mercy of hers that I didn't feel any pain. Well, that was fun. Huh? Wait, what? You are in your last year of high school. What the hell are you thinking? Sure, any Japanese boy who grew up on manga could fantasize about something like that, but it was all tropes and cliches. If it had gotten launched in a magazine, it would have been cancelled after 10 weeks. I blamed the sword that was just sitting there in the corner. Any boy who saw that sword would remember his dark history. My right hand, it burns! Anyway, this was no time to be thinking about that sword.
ケイさん、俺マジファンなんす。声聞いてるだけで超癒されるっつうか。
そんなことはどうでもいい。
As I sat there fantasizing, Kunosato was tearing apart Ito's hopes and dreams. He was having a bad time.
それよりお前。
え？
お前だ、宮代拓。いちいち聞き返すな。
はい。なんでしょう。
Crap, she was really scary. Was the K that I'd loved only an image I'd created for myself? Yes. Was this girl who she really was? Yes. Kunosato stood by the wall and glared at me, oblivious to how I felt.
お前は何の能力者だ？
I wouldn't say oblivious, I'd probably say more like ambivalent.
は？
It was so sudden that I didn't know what I'd been asked. I'm gonna be honest, I also missed it. What is your power? Okay. That's really funny. I literally also glossed over that her question. Power? Who, me?
さっき言ったろ。あの地下施設は今厳重に封鎖されている。ど素人がそんな簡単に入り込めるような場所じゃない。
それはたまたまですよ。なんか偶然とか重なってうまく入れただけです。
I mean, so far it seems like his power is the ability to unlock doors.
隠すな。お前はそれを能力でやってのけたんだ。
だから違います。
監視モニターがいきなり起動したのだってそうだ。
I guess that happened too. What is she talking about? I didn't have any kind of powers. And wait, Kay, I respected you, so try not to disappoint me so much. Oh my god. This is why you don't have idols!
大体何を根拠にそんなことは。
地下施設にお前たちが潜入しているのを見つけた時にな。お前かそっちの彼か、どちらかが能力者じゃないかと疑った。
Kunosato pointed at me and Ito in turn.
俺もすか？
ああ。だが、お前の方はその後、何の反応も示さなかったからな。除外した。
反応
？11番目のロールシャッハ画像を見た時の反応だよ。
Kunosato's deep, dark eyes were peering into me.
だが宮代拓、あの画像を見た時、お前は激しく動揺した。
いや、だってあんな気色悪い絵ですよ。当たり前じゃないですか。
お前のはそういう反応とは全く違
I
う。
don't like that look on her face.
あの画像を見た時にどう感じた？思い出してみろ。
Well, everything went dark, and then next thing I remembered, you were eating my brain. And then after that, we were back in the room. If I remember correctly. Ugh. The feeling I'd experienced when I'd seen the sumo sticker image came back to me. When I looked at it, all the hairs on my body stood on end, and I was attacked by nightmarish delusions from which there was no escape. It was so scary I couldn't help but look away from it.
じゃあ、身の潔白を証明するために、もう一度見てみるか？
No.
あの画像を。
Kunosato turned toward her computer and opened up a folder. She watched my face carefully as she moved to click on an image inside the folder.
嫌です。やめてください。
I'm good, thanks. I slowly sank to the floor and sat down, sweat pouring from my body. I looked away from the computer. I didn't have the courage to look at the image right now.
いい加減にしてください。
Serica to the rescue. Serica interrupted with a yell. It was the first time in ages I'd heard her yell. I looked up to see her standing between me and Kunosato with her hands on her hips.
一体何なんですか？特に超能力ってそんなアニメや漫画みたいな話真面目にしてどうかしてますよ。何？
尾上。
タクは人が殺された場所とかでいっぱいあのシールを見てきてるんです。気持ちが悪くなるの当たり前じゃないですか。私だってラブホの時のことを思い出して吐いちゃいそうになることありますけどそんなくったらないことが証拠だって言うなら私にだって超能力があるってことになりますよね。いや、お前は違う。なんでですか？
Serica pushed harder. When she thought I was in trouble, sometimes she would turn into a totally different person. She would try to protect me in a different way than Kurusu. It made me happy, and it made me feel better, but...
尾上、その、ありがとう。
Man, she really is the
ちょっ
best.
とだけ抑えてくれ。いいから、本当にサンキューな。
Aw. There was no way I had any kind of psychic power, but I'd already suspected that powers like that were involved in this case somehow, so I wanted to hear what Kunosato had to say. Kunosato looked at me for a moment, questioningly, and then sighed. She then took out her phone and made a call. The person on the phone didn't seem very happy about it, but they eventually gave their approval. She nodded and hung up the phone, then spoke.
また出かけるぞ。まあ、今度は命の危険はないだろう。安心するがいい。
Cool.
こんな時間によう来たの。まだ閉店時間までは間があるゆえ、ゆるりと過ごしてゆくがよい。
I'm waiting for this chick to be the final boss. Come on. Kunosato took me to Cafe Lax. We were taken to a big table by the window. Come to think of it, I'd just been here a while ago. Last time, it was to listen in on the conversation between Hinai Arimura and Shinjo. While I was thinking about that, the person Kunosato had called walked into the cafe. They seemed upset.
Huh?
Huh? When I looked up and saw who was there, I gasped.
こんな時間によう来たの。ゆるりと過ごしてゆくがよい。用が済んだらすぐに帰りますから。
I had a feeling it'd be you.
遅かったな。
私にだって準備くらいあるんです。
Hinai Arimura? It was the girl I was just thinking about.
あれ？ひなちゃんだ。どうも。これってどういうことっすかね、先輩方。
知らねえって。俺に聞かないでくれ。
True. What was she inviting Hinai here for?
っていうか、久野里さん、便利に使って巻き込むのはやめてほしいって言いましたよね。
互いに情報の提供をする。そういう約束だろ。
そっちばっかり私を利用してるくせに。
いいから座れ。
Arimura sighed, glanced at us, and sat down with a frown on her face. There was an awkward moment after we ordered our drinks when no one spoke.
それで、何なんです？
Once our drinks arrived, Arimura, of course, was the first one to speak up.
口で説明するよりも見せた方が早いと思ってな。
まさか話したんですか？
利用価値がありそうだと判断した。
ほんと勘弁してほしいんですけど。
From From the way they were talking, Arimura must have known about these powers as well. And
つべこべ言わずに見せてやれ。
show them? Wait, she couldn't mean...
嫌ですよ、めんどくさい。
宮代拓が能力者かどうか確証を得たい。
いや、だからですね。僕はそんな。
間違いなく能力者ですよ。
Arimura spoke as if it was the most normal thing in the world.
有村。
おい、本当か宮代。
信じられないよ。
だから僕は知らないって。
なるほどね。知らないというのは本当みたいです。無自覚なんですね。
無自覚も何も。有村はなんでそんなこと言い切れるんだよ。
あれ、思い当たる節ありませんか？
そんなのあるわけ。
If I had that power, I would have used it for something.
でも自分がこうなってほ
I
し
think
い
you
と
did,
思った
man.
ところで
You've used
い
it
つも
several
特別
times
な
by
ことが
now.
起きたりしたでしょ。例えば例のラブホテルに先輩が
Mostly
潜入
unlocking
した
doors.
時、あの時部屋には確かに鍵がかかっていたんですよ。なのに先輩はどうやって入ってきたんです？
嘘だ。鍵は開いてた。
いいえ、閉まってました。けどいきなり開いたんです。だよね、セリ。
Serica hesitated for a moment and looked at me.
確かにガチャって。
尾上？
ほら、それが宮代先輩の能力です。
My power? I'm a psychic lockpick? No way.
おそらく望んだように物体を動かす能力、いわゆるテレキネシス、あるいはサイコキネシスか、それを持っている。
I mean that sounds cooler than psychic lockpick, I suppose.
病院の地下施設にあんな簡単に侵入できたのもそのおかげだ。
本当かよ。
Ito was looking at me in shock.
いや、待ってくれ。違う。
Sure, when I'd gone into the psych ward in the underground lab, a lot of coincidences had happened all at once. Doors that would normally be locked weren't. When I'd gone down to the underground facility from the autopsy room, something had gotten stuck and I'd been able to open the secret door. But
そんな特殊な能力なんて本当にあるわけ。
でもさ、宮代言ってたよな。
I was about to say, you're the
今
one who
回の
brought
事
it
件
up
の鍵かもしれないって。
the first
それ
time.
はそうだけど。
Sure, I'd been saying it just a little while ago, but now that it affects me, I don't want to believe it anymore. But only after being told that I was a psychic did I understand. I hadn't actually really believed it. When I'd said it aloud, I had acted like it was some brilliant theory, but in my mind, I'd still been treating it like a fiction. I mean, you know, right? How could I... Wait, what? I mean, you know, right? How could I have something so crazy?
先輩、
What a weird
今
sentence.
から言う質問に全ていいえで答えてください。
は？なんだよいきなり。
いいから答えてください。いいですね。
あ、はい。
Alright, you immediately failed. I nodded, since it didn't seem like I was going to be given a chance to disagree.
自分のクラスの人間はバカばっかりだと思っている。
いいえ。
でも本当はその輪の中に入りたいと思っている。
いいえ。
一人でカラオケに行ったことがある。
いいえ。
一人でカラオケに行ったけれど一曲も歌ってはいない。
いいえ。
クルス先輩と一緒に暮らしていた時、 クルス先輩のお風呂を覗いちゃったことがある。
いいえ。
なるほど、わ
What's
かりました。
happening? Oh, she mentioned something about her being able to tell when people are lying. Is that her power? Arimura nodded and smiled.
わかったって何が？
Was that her
ま
being
ず
like,
最初の質問。宮代先輩はみんなバカばっかりだと思ってますね。
I see.
そ
Okay.
んなことは。
それから次。そうは言っても本当は寂しくてみんなの輪の中に入りたいとそう思ってます。
Why you gotta put him on blast like that?
違う。僕は何の生産性もない会話になんて。
カラオケに一人で行きましたね。
それは新聞部の取材で言っただけだ。でも歌っては。
それは嘘です。
え？
本当は歌いました。
Ooh! Busted!
歌ってない。
一曲だけですか？
だから歌ってないってば。
なるほど、一曲だけ歌ったんですね。
おい宮代、本当か？お前あれだけ歌ってないって否定してたよな。
Arimura, how do you know this stuff? It had seemed like a waste, so I did sing one song.
最後にお風呂でクルス先輩を。
もういい、やめろ。
You prove your point! You prove your point!
僕
Oh. She's gonna break a man's spirit like that, really? Sarika pushed down on her Garo Froggy strap, made a noise like the you lose buzzer on a game show. Is this a TV variety show or something?
違うんだ。
Look at Ito's
あれはリー
face.
ドがいたずらして今なら誰も入ってないって言うからドアを開けたら、それに慌てて目をつぶったから何も見てない。本当だぞ。
Dude, Ito's face, he is judging Miyashiro so hard right now. Do you have any idea what the hell I went through after that? Just remembering it terrified me. Wait, no!
それが一体何だって言うんだ。
わかりませんか？今のが私の能力です。
え？
他人の口にした言葉が嘘か真実かわかる。それが私の能力なんです。
She could tell if someone was lying?
Oh.
And then I finally realized the way Arimura had acted and the things she'd said.
言葉に出してもらってもいいですか？
What was that? What was that about? Was that? Oh, wait, no. Was that what that was about? What a sentence.
彼女の言ってること本当かな？
いや、ホットリーディングやコールドリーディングって可能性もあるし。
ホットリーディング？
つまり事前に調査してって後で自分で調べろ。
Open the tips menu. I'm not going to. I know what it is.
もういい。面倒だ。
Kunosato looked annoyed and bored as she watched our conversation.
あれを見せてやれ。それが一番早い。
あれですか？こんなところで？
多分、宮代以外には見えないはずだ。
Does she have a sword? Does she have a D
そう
sword?
かもしれません。けど。
Arimura looked toward the ground. Show me something. Wait, what was she going to show me? She nodded reluctantly, then stood up in front of me.
宮代先輩。
何？
よく見ててください。
Then she lifted up her what? Then she lifted up her skirt. No, that's not what happened. Miyashiro, dude, focus, please. I need to focus. What are you going to show me? I almost asked, but then I stopped. Suddenly, she stretched her right hand out to the side. She inhaled slowly and then seemed to draw something out of the air. As I sat there astonished, she pulled something impossible out of empty air. Oh, that's so cool! It was warped yet elegant, ugly yet fascinating. It's like a butterfly. It was inorganic and organic at the same time. It was as if it contained every shape in the world. It was a...
Ken?
It's like a butterfly wing. It's sick. Wasn't this the same thing that Kunosato had at her apartment? The shape was different, but it had the same terrible feeling to it. But Arimura had just pulled it out of thin air.
どうやったんだ?
Arimura looked unhappy as she saw my shock.
やっぱり見えるんですね。え？何の話？タク。
ケンってなんだよ。
見えないのか? 二人とも
Serika and Ito both shook their heads.
そんなバカな
It was huge. How could they not see it? I quickly looked around the room, but no one else, not the customers or the employees, was looking at the thing in Arimura's hands. No, they couldn't see it.
これで決まりだな。
どういうことなんですかこれ
今有村比内が手にしているもの、それが能力者の証だ。ディソードと呼ばれている。
ディソード
I had heard her use that word before. I didn't realize that she was talking about this, though.
その状態のディソードは能力者にしか目視できない。つまりそれが見えるお前は間違いなく能力者ということだよ。
Kunosato's cold voice dropped even lower than usual. So here's my question: can Kunosato see it? She definitely obviously she knows about it. But like is she also a psychic, or does she just know about them?
でも僕そんな能力なんて本当に使った覚えもないし。
でも事実だ。
Like my assumption is that she can see it, but and like she is one, but like I don't know. It's also possible she's not. She just knows about it, knows how it works. I couldn't believe it. So much was going through my head that I couldn't think. I looked over at the D-sword again. Arimura fiddled with it and snorted.
まあ、同じギガロマニアックス同士、もう少し仲良くしときますかね、先輩。
ギガロマニアックス
I remembered Kunosato using that word before too.
我々は能力者のことをそう呼んでいる。
That face.
ギガロマニアックスと。
呼び方なんかどうでもいいです。それよりやっぱり信じられません。僕のそのサイコキネシスとかそんなの非科学的です。
ああ、サイコキネシスというのはお前がイメージしやすいようにそう言っただけだ。実際はもっと科学的な概念が存在する。
科学的
I looked at Arimura's sword skeptically. Scientific? That?
ああ、無理ですよ、久野里さん。説明とかしてもさっぱりわかんないと思います。ちなみに、私は一つも理解できてません。
お前と一緒にすんな。僕はこれでも。
はいはい。
Damn it, she was pissing me off.
理解などしなくていい。ただ、最低限のことだけは覚えておけ。ギガロマニアックスの能力をカートゥーンに登場するような超能力と同じように使うな。 そんな安易なものでも愉快なものでもない。
何が違うって言うんです？
ギガロマニアックスの能力とは、簡単に言えば自らの妄想を現実に変換する力だ。
妄想現実に変換？
What was she talking about? That wasn't scientific at all.
ディラックの海という言葉を、まあ知らないだろうな。
ディラックの海。
Serica started to fidget on the sofa. She probably couldn't follow what we were talking about at all, but she could tell that I was nervous.
確か量子力学の中の概念ですよね。
ほう、驚いたな。一階の高校生が知っているとは。
For some reason, a lot of people on the Japanese internet loved relativity theory and quantum mechanics. Schrodinger's cat, for example, had been discussed so many times by now that it was considered an embarrassment to even bring it up. So I knew a little.
真空を負のエネルギーに満たされた空間だと定義するんですよね。で、そこをディラックの海って呼ぶ。
ああ、そうだ。ディラックの海はマイナスエネルギーに満ちた世界ということになる。
Kunosato looked at Arimura's hands as she held the D-sword. And then Arimura smiled, a little wickedly.
で、そのなんとかの海とこの剣を使って妄想を現実にできるんですよ。リアルブートっていうらしいですけどね。
リアルブート。
ディソードは剣の形をしているが、実はただの武器じゃない。ディラックの海に干渉し、現実との間のパイプとなる端末だ。ギガロマニアックスがその端末を用いると、本来現実空間の中に存在できないはずの負のエネルギーを引き出すことができる。するとホールセオリーによるペアクリエーションで粒子と反粒子が生まれる。それがエラーとなって他人の脳のデッドスポットに影響を与えるんだ。
脳のデッドスポット？
Dead spots of the brain?
デッドスポットというのは人間の脳における視覚野の視覚だよ。そこに影響を与えられるということは、つまり自分の妄想をそこへ送り込み、妄想通りのものを相手に見せられるということだ。しかも相手にとってそれは完全な現実として認識される。
でもそんなのただの幻覚じゃないですか。催眠術と同じですよ。
催眠術？そうか。じゃあその妄想を自分の周りの人間全員がリアルな現実だと共通認識してしまったらどうだ？
共通認識？
そうだ。さらにそれが渋谷中の人間の共通認識になったら、そしてその共通認識が東京中の人間、日本中の人間、果ては世界中の人間にまで広がっていったとしたら、一体誰がそれを現実じゃないと否定できるんだ？
それは。
そうしたら妄想はすでに作り事でも幻覚でもなくなる。紛れもない現実と化すんだよ。だからそれはリアルブートと呼ばれている。
そんなバカな。だってそんなことで現実がねじ曲げられるなんて。
I rubbed my head with my fingers, trying to make some sense out of all this.
仮にいいですか。仮にですよ。僕がそのギガロマニアックスだったとして、だけど閉まってるドアの鍵を開けるとか、そんな風に妄想が物理現象にまで影響を与えるなんて不可能ですよ。
私たち含め研究者たちも当初はそう考え楽観視していた。だがそんな甘いものじゃなかったんだ。
え？
物理現象すらねじ曲げるんだよ。ギガロマニアックスの妄想と それによって共通認識化された現実はだからこそそれはこの上なく危険なんだ。
Yeah, okay, she's definitely not one. She just knows about it. That, yeah, I mean, and she definitely seems to not like them very much, so I'm curious as to why that is. I looked at Arimura's sword, then back at Kunosato. Arimura was still smiling as she held the sword in front of me. I couldn't tell if the light it gave off was holy or evil, but for a moment, it was so beautiful that I shivered. October 11th, 2015, Sunday. The town was filled with noise that threatened to swallow her whole. Oh, we're back to, you. Okay, yeah, it's, I forgot her name. I'm an asshole. I forgot, Senri. But that was just the way she wanted it. Shibuya was a town that accepted anybody and rejected everyone. It was the only place that would let her be a part of it now. She moved her legs forward, valiantly, amidst the hustle and bustle. Forward, forward. Each step she took, her face twisted with horrible pain. Or at least, that's how it seemed to her. She didn't know if the pain was actually appearing on her face. Her face was covered with scars, and shielded by long hair that hid her hate. As she dragged her legs down the streets, no one in Shibuya stopped to look at her. She was grateful for that. But at the same time, she hated it. A flame burned within her womb. It was the flame of hatred. She was nothing but hatred now. The businessmen who passed by her on the street, the empty-headed students, the happy couples, the miserable-looking old people. She hated everyone. But she hated them most of all. She hated the ones who had abandoned her. She hated the ones who'd done this to her. If they hadn't abandoned her, this never would have happened. The hatred burned within her womb. No, she was the hatred. The power she gained that day. It was all for this. Only the joy of revenge drove her forward. Forward and forward. And then, she didn't notice that that the people who passed by her turned back in surprise. She didn't realize it herself. But the woman was laughing. She was laughing so hard that anyone could hear her, like black smoke from a flame rising toward the sky. She raised her voice and laughed. Amy? Is she Amy? Max Cat, I don't still know who that is. Miyashiro is awaking, not completely yet. What else? He seems to have finally remembered. Their existence? Yes. What of the sin he committed? Not yet. Understood. It is almost the day of judgment. Okay, so maybe it's not her. October 12th, 2015, Monday.
おい、あれじゃね？ほら、今流行ってる。
マジでやばくね？てか流行るっておかしくね？呪われるんしょ？マジやばくね？
ほれ、一枚持ってこうぜ。
やばいってそれマジやばいって。
あ、先輩、あれ例のやつじゃないですか？
例のって？
That's me. What thing?
え？先輩知らないですか？歴史シール。
歴史シール？
いやいやいや、またまた。嘘っしょ？知ってて言ってるんしょ？
いや、マジで知らないって。
マジっすか？今めっちゃ流行ってるっすよ。
流行ってんの？あんな気持ち悪いのが？
Did people just forget that they're like I mean, I guess not everybody knows that they're related to the murders, but like...
いや、流行ってるってのとは違うが、ほら、例の連続殺人事件。
Oh, no, they just...
あれの現場にあったって話っすよ。
あのシールがなんで？
なんでかは知らないっすけど、でもなんか意味あるんじゃないっすか？
力士シールね。なんかそのまんますぎだろ。もっといいネーミングねえのかよ。
Like, really? Like, really? I assume it says they couldn't have picked a better name, but like, really? Come on.
ほらここにもあるじゃん力シール。うわめっちゃ増えてんじゃん。あてかあんた何やってんの？
Really?
これちょっと可愛くない？ほらカバンとかつけたら。うっそ可愛いとこマジウケるんだけど、どんな趣味よ。
You could just...
絶対これ流行るってマジで。ねえあんたもそう思うっしょ？それ近づけんのやめて。見てるとなんか気持ち悪くなんだよね。ほら気持ち悪いっつってんじゃん。うっそ可愛いって絶対。
Like, the typos are one thing, but that's... Like, come on. Like, really?
あれ？それ何つけてるんですか？
あこれほら例の力士シール。おしゃれっしょ。
あ、いいですねそれ。
でしょでしょ。これ流行らそうよ。 T シャツとかにでっかくプリントとか可愛くない？
あー、でも不謹慎とか言われそうじゃないですか？
Luckily, I have the power of context clues and inference on my side.
ああ不謹慎中とかうざいよねマジで。でも大丈夫じゃない？みんなで着ればさ。
なんかグッズとか作ります？
いいね。ソックスとかさ可愛いかも。
ちょい考えますか。どうしたん？
なんか焦げ臭くね？
ああ、ここあったらしいぜ。
何が？
なんかほら、最近この辺で火つけて回ってるやついるらしいじゃん。連続放火？
I mean, I guess if you know Japanese, you can just be like, I heard what he said, but I don't. So I gotta use context clues to figure out what the missing words are.
それもほれ、あれのせいじゃねえの？呪いのシールとかって。
Like how? Like, how does this happen? How do you...
あれなんなのマジで。あれと一緒なんだろ？前のほら。
ニュージェネだろ？
そうそれニュージェネ。あれの真似なんだろ？渋谷マジやばいって。
このように今回の事件の日付はすべてニュージェネレーションの狂気と呼ばれる6年前の事件と一致しております。そこにどのような関連があるのかが注目されているわけですが、これについてはいかがでしょう？
そうですね。関連があるのはほぼ間違い
Why
ない
is
で
the
しょうね。
scroll slower now? I feel like I'm losing my mind. I feel like... like... Why is it...
ただ、現時点で全ての事件が同一犯であると決めつけるのはまだ時期尚早ではないかと思います。
それはどうしてでしょう？
現場に残されていたという歴史シールは渋谷の街中のどこにでもあるという話ですし、入手するのは比較的簡単なんですね。したがって何者かが同一犯の犯行とみなすために現場に残したという可能性も考えられます。
その場合はやはり捜査の混乱を狙ったということでしょうか。
そういうことになりますね。特に今のようなネット社会ではそうした情報は早く出回りますし、騒ぎに乗じた便乗殺人ということもないとは言い切れないでしょうね。
まだまだ謎の多い事件ですね。こちらの事件に関しては後ほど改めましてたっぷりと検証していきたいと思います。さて次のニュースはこちらも東京渋谷ですね。連続放火事件のニュースです。
All right. Next chapter. That was absurd. I don't. How? Like how? How does that happen? How do you miss that? Come on now. October 12th, Monday.
しかし信じられないな。まさかAH 東京総合病院でそんなことが。
Takeshi Shinjo frowned as he leaned back into the sofa inside the messy office. Frisia Corporation was located on the second floor of an old multi-purpose building in Sakuragaoka. At this hour, the 20 or so desks in the room were mostly empty, but that didn't mean things weren't busy. Investigation companies like Frisia did a lot of work outside the office. It was precisely because they were busy that there was no one here. Three people were having a serious discussion inside the empty office.
まあ、新庄ちゃんが疑いたくなる気持ちはわかるけど。
In front of him was the CEO of Frisia, Katsuko Momose.
お前なんかに嘘ついて何の得がある？
Mio Kunisada was sitting further away from him, not even bothering to conceal her displeasure. It was clear that she had no intention of being friendly with him.
もちろん信じないと言ってるわけじゃ
You
ない。
didn't have to say to him.
あの病院にいろいろ妙な噂があることだって知っている。
She has no intention of being friendly. Ever.
それにこうして生きた証人もいることだし。
Shinjo looked at the other person on the sofa. It was a tiny little girl.
あの子が本当に施設で被害者たちの世話を？
ああ、そうだ。
今彼女から事情は聞けそうかな。
やってみてもいいが、失望するだけかもしれないぞ。
え？
それがね。
私、帰ります。お願いします。私、帰ります。あそこに返してください。お願いします。
ずっとこの調子。帰りたいの一点張り。何を聞いたってろくに話してくれやしない。
百瀬さんが苦戦するのは珍しいな。
Shinjo stood up and dragged an office chair over to the sofa the girl was sitting on. He sat down as slowly as he could so as not to scare her and looked her at eye level.
山添浮君？
He tried to speak as softly as he could, but she still shivered at his voice.
怖がらなくていい。僕はおまわりさんだ。
おまわりさん。
そうだ。だから安心していい。
おまわりさんなら助けてください。
もちろんだと思う。だから教えてほしいんだ。君を真っ暗な地下室に閉じ込めたのは誰？
私、あの人にさらわれてきたんです。だから助けてください。元の場所へ返してください。
Uki Yamazoe looked at Kunosato for just an instant and then looked back to Shinjo, begging.
これで私も立派な誘拐犯だな。逮捕してみるか。
チャーチャーを入れないでくれ。なあ、ウキ君。
Yes, I very much want to arrest you.
勘違いしているようだけど、君は地下でひどいことをさせられてたんだ。だからこうして助け出されたんだよ。
ひどいことなんて何もありません。私はただ皆さんのお世話をしていただけです。それが私の仕事です。
うん
から戻らないといけないんです。私がいないと皆さんが困ってしまいます。
That explained why even a veteran like Momo was having trouble. Shinjo looked at the two and shrugged.
参りましたね。
でしょ？
聞いた限りだと地下の環境はかなり劣悪ですよね。普通女の子がそんなところに帰りたいって思うもんですかね。
私ならごめんこぶるわね。まあ、うちも仕事内容の劣悪さじゃ負けてないと思うけど。
Momose chuckled.
そいつの頭皮を見てみたが、ロボトミーや電気ショックの痕跡はない。ちゃんと脳の検査をしないと断定はできないが、多分長年の軟禁生活で自分の境遇に疑問を抱かなくなってしまったんだろう。
虐待されてる子供と同じか。
ああ。
どうしたもんかな。
Shinjo looked back at the girl, who now seemed as if she was about to cry, and started to scratch his head. As of now, the police had no reason to make a move on AH General Hospital. None of the evidence he'd gathered had been acquired by legal means. He'd hoped that Uki Yamazoe's testimony would allow her to function as a whistleblower, but that was looking unlikely.
あ、そうだ。ウキ君、この少年を知ってるね。
Shinjo took out a smartphone from his pocket. It was the one he'd borrowed from the younger officers. Picked out Takeru Miyashiro's photo from the ones he'd taken of the people involved at the Hekiho Academy shooting. Shooting? Like... Oh, like filming. America, man. I see shooting, I think of something else. I hate that my brain goes there. Anyways.
そう証言してる。
その人なら何回か会いました。でも、そのスマートフォンって一体何ですか？
は？何？
その子ね、最近のものは何も知らないわよ。
Shinjo thought for a moment and then pointed to his own phone.
これがスマホだ。これと似たようなものを彼が落として君が拾った。覚えてないかな？
Uki stared at the phone in his hands and then nodded softly.
やっぱりそうか。で、それをどうした？
落ちていた場所にすぐに戻しました。
戻した？君が持って行ったんじゃなくて？
持ってなんていきません。なんだかわからないものは怖いです。
でも宮代君によれば、そのスマホから電話がかかってきたって言うんだ。君がやったんじゃないのか？
スマホというのはそうやって写真を見る機械じゃないんですか？電話もかけられるんですか？
Omose giggled a little. Shinjo glared at her, then turned the phone around and brought up a number from the address book. He tapped the number. The phone rang for a moment, and then an extremely irritated voice answered.
はい。もしもし、有村ですけど。
ほら、こうやって電話ができるんだよ。
I'm sure she's gonna love that, being a demonstration. Shinjo turned up the volume so that Uki could hear it. Uki didn't seem to care.
そう
Yeah,
で
this
す
isn't
か。
particularly, like, important.
もしもし、一体何なんです？用がないなら切りますよ。私これからランチなんで。
いや、用ならあるんだ。しかも大事な用が。悪いんだけど、ちょっと力を貸して。
お断りします。
即答はないだろ
ねえ、新庄さん。私ってあなたの恋人かなんかですか？何かっていうとすぐに電話してきて。いやらしい。
いやいや、待て。別にそういうつもりじゃ。
なら、ストーカーってことでいいですね。
Oh my lord.
よくない。困ってるんだ。助けてくれよ。
うわ、出た。女の敵の決まり文句。それでお小遣いをせびったり、お金のために変なバイトをさせたりするんですよね。最低のダメ人間。
真面目に聞いてくれよ。大切な話なんだ。頼む。
Shinjo finally managed to quiet her down, and then told her about AH Tokyo General and Ukiyama Zoe. Then he asked Uki for a few more detailed questions, this time so she could hear. And as a result...
どうだ、有村さん。
全部白ですよ。真っ白。その子、嘘は一つもついてません。あと、今回の一連の事件についても本当に何にも知らないですね。その子が犯人と関係あるとか思ってます？だったら空振りもいいとこですよ。
そっか。
Shinjo's shoulders slumped when he heard that. He saw that Kunisato's did too. She'd probably thought that she could learn a lot of what she wanted to know from Uki Yamazoe. Kunosato frowned and looked at the ceiling.
有村さん、助かった。ありがとう。今度なんかご馳走するよ。
はあ？それってもしかしてデートに誘ってるつもりですか？だったら絶対に嫌なんですけど。
未成年をデートになんて誘ったら警察クビだよ。じゃ、またな。
またって、もうこういうのやめてくださいよ。何度言ったらわかるんです。
He ended the call before Arimura could say anything further, and finally, the room fell quiet. No one spoke for a while. The only sound was Ukiyama Zoe mumbling, "I want to go home," as she stared at her feet.
まあ、その子に関しては、もう少しうちで預かることにするわ。って言っても、食事と寝る場所の提供くらいで、大したことはできなさそうだけど。
I mean, I assume they've already looked into, like, potential relatives or, like, anyone... I feel like they might have mentioned that, and I forgot, but that seems like the step one, right? Am I crazy? Momose stood up and rolled her tired neck. There was an unhealthy popping sound.
それでも十分助かります。
あっちの方は一からやり直しか。
Something like that.
一からってことはないさ。地下施設の本格的な操作ができないか手を考えてみる。
なんとかなるの？正式な手続きを踏んだところで、またどこかから圧力がかかるわよ。
でしょうね。
でしょうねってあんた。
ま、そこら辺は適当に口実をでっち上げます。ダメならダメでやりようはあると思うんで。それにお天道様の元にさらしてしまえばいくらなんでも無視はできないでしょうからね。なんです？何かおかしなことを言いましたか？
似てきたじゃない？あの人に。
そいつは喜んでいいんですかね。
どうかしら。少なくともいい死に方はしないわね。
Don't remind me of that. I'm still sad about it. Popular online journalist Tomoaki Watabe was murdered on the afternoon of the 10th at a school in Shibuya. Police have become more convinced that the killer in this case was the same as the other murders that are patterned after the return of the new generation madness 7 years ago. Watabe visited the school to talk to the students and coughed up sumo stickers and died when he went on stage. That is really underselling how that went, but yeah. Watabe's stomach was filled with large numbers of the mysterious sumo stickers, and it is believed that these are what choked him. As the sumo stickers are seen everywhere on the streets of Shibuya these days, they seem to think it will be impossible to track down where the killer found them. Watabe had previously pointed out the relationship between the sumo stickers and the other mysterious deaths that took place on the 7th, 14th, and 30th of last month. Police are assuming there's a connection there. Gotsu Desu? I don't get it. In before this is a viral marketing scheme by the sumo wrestler people. Obviously the kids he was interviewing did it. So wait, we're calling this one Gotsuan Death? I don't get it. I'm sure they'll explain it. If you guys want to see a sumo sticker that bad, look in the freaking mirror. There's a huge shadowy conspiracy involved in this. All the victims are people who tried to find out about the conspiracy. The ones behind it are also the ones behind the original New Generation Madness. They also eliminated the person who designed the sumo stickers. I bet the kids he was going to talk to are in danger too. So what, you're a sumo sticker truther? Oh Christ. He's reading between the lines. It's the killer! JK. Look at your ID, dude. Oh, it's sumo. Got it. This thread's almost 1,000 posts long. Why do you guys like sumo so much? This post is post 1,000. I'm gonna win the next sumo tournament. Well, there you go, buddy. Gotsuan Death. I don't get it. I hope that it is explained to me.
いわゆるテレキネシスと呼ばれるもの。それが先輩の力です。
僕の力。
さあ、念じてみてください。動けと。
Is it time for the training arc?
念じる。心の中で。動け。動け。動け。動け。動け。動け。動け。動け。動け。動け。動け。動け。動けよ
Wait, really? I'm gonna be honest, I genuinely thought it was gonna be like he didn't work. No, he just can do it. Alright. That is not what I was expecting.
動いた。
驚きました。これは私が思っていた以上の力かもしれません。
宮代拓、君の能力、この目でじっくりと見させてもらった。
久野里さん。
これからはその能力を使って、
Oh,
私の渋谷ニュースを手伝ってくれないか。
It's not real. See, it's funny. The telekinesis was not. I was like, oh wow, that's cool. It worked out really well. It's already going. The second she starts being nice, this ain't real. This is bullshit. We're dreaming. We're dreaming. We're delusioning right now. It ain't happening. And not the real kind.
はい。喜んで。
Sorry, bud.
すごいじゃねえか、宮代。
まあ、これくらい当然だよ。
宮代。
Good and acquired.
ねえ、タクったら。
これくらい大したこと。大したこと。
I was really buying it up until Kunosada was like, wow, I'm really impressed. Mega cap. Huh?
あ、起きた。
ここ。
My room? Then that was a dream just now? I looked at the clock. It was already well into afternoon and approaching evening.
そうか。
I remembered now. I'd met with Arimura and Kunosato at Cafe Lax, then come back here late last night, so confused. After that, I'd gone home and thought, and then done some research on the internet, and finally gotten to sleep around sunrise. That's why I was only getting up now.
たく、人が心配してきてやったのに気持ちよく寝てやがるんだもんな。
えへへ。タクはのんきだね。
うわなんだお前ら
Surprised, I leapt out of bed.
なんだってご挨拶だな君
Did you
は。
forget to lock the door?
みんなタクを心配して様子を見に来たんだよ。
心配僕をなんで
だってねえ花ちゃん。
Oh, she's here too? Everybody's here.
和樹お前まで
It was a tiny room, but I'd still only just realized that she was here now.
ちょっとタク、そういう言い方はひどいよ。花ちゃんだってずーっと気にしてたんだからね。
That was surprising. Kazuki was so worried about me that she'd come all the way out here? I figured no matter what happened, she'd be sitting in the club room playing ESO2.
てか大げさなんだよそんなに心配しなくたって
でもよ、結構いろんなことあったろ昨日。
そうだよ、のんちゃんも気にしてたよ。
クルスがまさか昨日のことベラベラ喋ったりしてないよな。
I really hope they told her that, oh yeah, we learned that he has psychic powers. He has, you know, telekinesis. Pretty crazy stuff. Anyways, hope you feel better soon. Serica looked confused.
もしかして話したのか例の能力のことも
Oh my god, they did.
なんで言っちゃうんだよ
だってのんちゃんには隠し事してもバレちゃうんだもん。
That's true. Yeah, Kurisu was pretty sharp, and I couldn't imagine a girl like Serica being able to hide anything from her. I gave up and fell back into bed.
いけなかったかな。
Serica looked apologetic as she fiddled with her Garo froggy strap.
いやいい話しちゃったもんは仕方がない
Knowing Kurisu, she was probably really upset now.
でそれでクルスはなんて
ああ、私は今動けないから代わりにあなたたちがタクのそばにいてあげてって。
それだけかあいつのことだからもっといろいろ言われただろ危険なことするなとか能力なんてバカなとかなんとか
そんなことなかったよ。
だってあのクルスだぞそれだけのはずないだろ
それだけ
だよな。
I rubbed my eyes, still sleepy. Something didn't seem right.
ああ、そうだ。昼間新庄さんから電話あったぞ。お前が探してるスマホのことで。
Ito slapped his hands together as if he just remembered something important. I quickly stood up. That was one of my biggest concerns right now.
新庄さんなんだって
I eagerly pressed into Ito for more information. Shinjo had said he intended to spend the whole day getting information out of that Uki Yamazoe girl. Of course, I told him many times to ask about that phone. Probably he had.
ああ、それがな。
But the answer I got was one I wasn't expecting.
あの子は持ってない
ああ、一度拾ったけどすぐに元の場所へ戻したそうだ。
そんな言い訳新庄さんは信じたのか
有村が確認したんだと。嘘はついてないって。
有村が
which meant that she wasn't lying.
じゃあ僕の携帯から伊藤に謎の着信があったのは？
それも彼女は無関係だってさ。
そっか。つまりスマホを持ち去った犯人が別にいるってことか。
Then who had the phone and that picture? And how and why had they managed to use my phone to call us and threaten us?
とにかく宮代のスマホは引き続き捜索してくれるそうだ。だからさ、とりあえず新しいのを買ったらどうだ？
タクはね、やっぱり私たちの真ん中にいる部長なんだよ。だからね、タクと連絡取れなくて困ることいっぱいあるんだ。今日も一日中心配しちゃったし。あとなんちゃんもタクとお話ししたい時にすごく困るって言ってた。
そっか。
I'm the leader. It felt kind of embarrassing, but I knew that only these guys would say something like that.
確かに今のままだと何かが起こった時にみんなと連絡を取り合うことができないな。わかった。早めに新しいスマホを手に入れるよ。
Serica smiled happily.
で、昨日の話の続きなんだけどさ、宮代。
続きってどの話の続きだ？
久野里さんの言ってた能力だよ。本当にありそうなのか？
ああ、それわからないな。ちょっと非科学的すぎるし。
でも最初に超能力がどうのって言い出したのは宮代じゃなかったっけ？
それは
お前には見えたんだよな、有村が出した剣みたいなの。
まあ見えるには見えたけど。
Arimura's sword. I think she called it a D sword. Definitely looked real.
そいつが見えたってことはやっぱお前は能力者ってことだろ？久野里さんもそう言ってたし。
I love how into it Ito is. He's fully convinced at this point.
伊藤、相変わらず久野里さんの言うことは信用するんだな。あれだけひどい目に遭わされたのに。
She treated him pretty badly in the basement of the hospital. Maybe he was into that?
おいおい、なんだよその目は。俺は別にそういう趣味はねえぞ。
I mean, she did strangle you it's like 3 times, right?
いや、そういえばお前、クルスを怒らせるようなこともよく言うよな。あれもわざとじゃ。
うわー、しんちゃんって変態さんだったんだね。
やめろよお前ら。んなことより宮代の能力の話をしてんだ今は。
Ito dragged this back to the original topic. This was definitely suspicious.
いや、能力とか言われたって自分の意思で使えたことなんてないしさ。ラブホテルとか病院の地下とか鍵を開けたのは僕の能力だって有村や久野里さんは言ってたけど、半信半疑なんだよ。
The door to the hotel room might never have been locked in the first place, and the others might all just be coincidence, right?
ちゃんと試してみたのか？
試す？
おう、だってさ、やってみなきゃ使えるかどうかわかんねえだろ？
コツさえつかめば案外できるかもしれないもんね。
Even the normally disinterested Kazuki was staring at me with curiosity. It was rare to see her like this. Maybe she was interested in psychic powers and the occult? I mean, to be fair,
そうだな。
if someone I knew, like, there was a legitimate reason, a chance, like, possibility that they had actual literal telekinesis, I'd be a little invested, yeah. Like, all right, well, let's try it out, bud.
それともタク、一人で試してみたりした？それでダメだったとか？だったらしょうがないけど。
違うよ。僕がそんな馬鹿げたこと一人でやるわけないだろ。
I lied. Actually, last night I tried, and it hadn't worked.
じゃあやってみようよ。ね？いいじゃん。減るもんでもないし。
It's a good thing Arimura isn't here. You'd be busted wide
けど
open.
やるったってどうすれば。
やっぱ強く念じるとかじゃね？
I tried that, and it didn't work.
ほらほら、タク、念じて念じて。
念じるって何よ。
そうだな。例えばほら、そこにある本を動かしてみるとか。
Now this was just like my dream.
わかったよ。やるよ。やってみる。けど期待はするなよ。
大丈夫大丈夫。古本。それでは挑戦していただきましょう。宮代拓くんです。パチパチパチ。
Suddenly, Serica stood up straight and gave me an introduction and a round of applause. I had no choice but to stand in front of the book and get ready. I raised both hands slowly and concentrated. I stuck my hands out quickly. And then, the pages of the book slowly started to do
や
nothing.
っぱ動かないね。
だろう。だからできないって言ったんだよ。
チェー、なんだつまんねえの。
Oh.
.ほら和樹、人んちの壁を殴るな。
でもよかったね、タク。
Serica opened up one of my mountain views and smiled. I hadn't seen her take it from the refrigerator.
あ、俺にも一本。
Serica handed Ito the plastic bottle she was holding, and then took out 2 more from the fridge. She gave one to Kazuki.
おい、お前ら、人のものを買って
Drinking all my soda?
後で金払ってもらうからな。
なんだよ、ケチくせえな。
一人暮らしは何かと金がかかるんだよ。てか、尾上、僕にも一本。
That was 4 bottles in total. I'd have to go buy a new pack.
サンキュー。で、何がいいんだよ。さっき言ったろ。よかったねって。
ああ、うん。だってさ、もしもタクにそんな能力があったら命を狙われるかもしれないってことでしょ？
That's a good point. Like, these guys seem to be the targets. I mean, you brought it up, my guy. After everyone left, Serica's words repeated again and again in my mind.
もしもタクにそんな能力があったら命を狙われるかもしれないってことでしょ？
Was a flashback really necessary? It was less than 10 seconds ago. There was a chance that all of the victims of these murders, they were calling them the return of the new generation madness, had psychic powers. That was the conclusion I'd reached as well. If I had the power that Kunosato and Arimura said I did, I could be a victim too. And Arimura had said before, "You're going to..."
あなた殺されますよ、宮代拓先輩。
殺される？僕が
the hell was going on? Normally, I'd be excited that my theory about psychic powers had been proved correct. But instead, why did I have to start worrying that they'd come after me?
どう考えたっておかしいだろ。
For one thing, I couldn't use any psychic powers. See, I tried and nothing moved. I focused and nothing started floating. I knew for a fact that I didn't have any powers, so even if other people said I did... But what if the killer mistakenly thought I did, the same way Arimura and Kunosato did? In that case, even if they were wrong, my life would still be in danger.
冗談じゃない。そんなバカなことって。
What was that sound? The door? Again. Was someone here? The others had just left, and there was no one else who would come here. No way. Could it be someone who wanted to kill me? I'm guessing it's either going to be Gen or... That's my guess. Gen. He's here with your magazines, my guy. You've got to be kidding me. I can't use them. I don't have any powers.
嫌だ。来るな。来るな。違う。僕は超能力者なんかじゃない。違うんだ。
But despite my pleas, the door slowly opened. Hey buddy, you got the goods?
おう、タク。要はただいま帰ったぞ。
なんだよ、驚かさないでよ。
I staggered back and sat down on the bed.
せっかく例のもの持ってきてやったってのに。さては、女子かと思って期待していたね。
I'm on a roll here.
そんなんじゃないよ。
まあまあ、お前くらいの年なら誰でもあるこった。ってわけで、ほれ。
Gen tossed me an issue of Cool Cat Press, then stuck out his hand. To be honest, I didn't feel like it, but...
500円でいいの？
毎度あり。これで今日もうまいビールが飲める。ってな。
少しは貯金とかしたら。
ばっかやろ。男は酔い越しの金は持たねえってな。いいかタク、お前も男ならケチケチすんじゃねえぞ。じゃないと女子には。
分かった分かった。今日はもう帰って。
男ならとこら。
I pushed again out of the room and shut the door. The room had become strangely silent once more. The occasional passing of a train seemed exceptionally loud, but when it was gone, the silence returned. Shibuya Station was very close, but once you got even a little bit away, it became like this. Normally, I loved the silence, but today I felt a little lonely. Don't Look at Me, Leaky Noise, Revolving Dead, and Gotsuan Death. They all had stupid names, but they were all brutal murders. And...
もしも特にそんな能力があったら、命を狙われるかもしれないってことでしょ？
くそ、冗談じゃない。
I flipped open the new Cool Cat Press to take my mind off it. The page read, "Polish your hidden talents to make girls love you." October 12th, 2015 Monday. So, same day.
はい、終わり。ありがとう、ゆい。悪いわね。いいっていいって。のの姉にはいつもいろいろ任せっきりなんだもん。 私だってもう子供じゃないんだし、こういう時くらい頼ってよ。
Yui smiled as she finished disinfecting the wound and applying the gauze. Nono was a little surprised to see her smile look just like an adult's. Yui and Yuto had come to the Aoba dorm at almost the same time as Nono and Takaru. At first, they were still young, and it took time for them to get used to life here, but now they were an indispensable part of life at the dorm. Of course, it had been 6 years now, so perhaps that was only natural. That's right, Kurusu told herself. People can get used to anything. Nono thought about how long 6 years really was, and softly patted Yui on the head.
どうしたの？ののね。
なんでもない。大きくなったなって。
何？急に。
だからなんでもないんだって。ちょっと思っただけ。
And at the same time, she thought to herself, I have to protect this, no matter what. The things she'd built up over the last 6 years. Her family. And...
いいののね。また勝手に動き回って悪化させちゃダメなんだからね。
The way Yui stood up and when she talked... The way Yui stood up when she talked was just like Nono did. It felt a little embarrassing to watch.
ごめん。
それにしても、タクル兄もタクル兄だよね。痛がってるののねを置いてどっか行っちゃうなんて。口では文句ばっかり言ってても、タクル兄は本当は優しい人だって思ってたのにさ。
そう言わないであげて、ユイ。タクルはタクルなりにいろいろあるのよ、きっと。
いろいろって？
それは。
Kurusu knew that Takaru didn't want to hurt her. Takaru was just struggling as hard as he could. Against the circumstances he found himself in. Against the world. But...
わからないけど、いろいろよ。いろいろ。
変なの？
He still didn't realize that sometimes the only thing that brought was sadness. They'd kept Takaru's past a secret for his own sake. There was nothing to be gained from digging up the truths of the past. Takaru knew that. So why...
とにかく、もうしばらく安静にしておくこと。これは父さんからの命令でもあるんだから。わかった？
はいはい。
返事は1回。
はい、わかりました。
よろしい。
Yui said the line that normally Kurusu would say, and then left the room. Kurusu chuckled as she watched her go. And then she took the phone off the side table. A moment after she turned it on, the phone's wallpaper appeared. It was a photo of her family. Her dad, Yuto, Yui, and Takaru, with a blank expression on his face. I would say it's a blank expression. That's like a happy expression. It was one of her most important treasures. That's... I mean, I knew she also had the picture, but like... It's still sweet. They both had the same treasure. She stared at it for a long time, and then after a moment's hesitation, opened the photo gallery on the phone. There was Takaru, mixed in with many of her other memories. He had the same flat look on his face, and it almost made her laugh out loud. At the very bottom of the gallery was a picture dated a long, long time ago. It was taken 6 years ago, just before the earthquake. There were 3 children in the picture. Nono, Kawahara, and one more. And then she heard a knock at the door. She quickly hid the phone behind her back.
のの姉ちゃん、いい？何？お友達が来てるよ。お見舞いだって。友達？
ヤッホー。
Serica softly opened the door and came inside.
元気？元気だったらこうして寝てないから。
あ
そっか。じゃあまたにするね。冗談よ冗談。入って。うん。
Came inside, moving a little more carefully and softly than she usually did. She sat down next to the bed.
お茶とか持ってきた方がいい？ああ、いいよ。お構いなく。ありがとう、ゆうと。うん。じゃあ。へへへ。
Serica smiled as she watched the door close.
何？ゆうとくんもしっかりしてきたなーって。まだ甘えん坊だけどね。
Yuto was shy, particularly around people older than him, but he seemed okay with Serica. It was probably because Serica had been around Takaru for so long.
それで？ここに来た理由よ。お見舞い。怪我の具合なら電話でも話したでしょ。なのにわざわざ来るなんて。やっぱのんちゃんにはかなわないな。当たり前。で、どうしたの？ちょっとね、のんちゃんの様子がおかしいなって思って。私が？電話の声がね、元気がないなって。何言ってるの？怪我してるんだから元気がないのは当たり前でしょ？それはそうなんだけど、なんて言ったらいいかな。とにかく変だなって思ったの。だから来たの。セリカ。
I guess I can't fool you either, Nono thought to herself.
のんちゃん？どうしたの？具合悪い？そうじゃない。そうじゃないの。ただ。
Nono hesitated for a moment, then slowly took the phone out from behind her back. There was only one thought in her heart. I have to protect everyone. That was all. If she couldn't change things, they'd be put in danger. Takaru, her family, the rest of the newspaper club. So Nono made her decision. But she couldn't say until now. But she didn't say until now. She would tell everyone.
のんちゃん？セリカ、言ってたわよね。例の病院の地下で、南沢千里っていうこの情報を見たって。
Oh wow. When she said she told her everything, she really meant everything. I thought she just meant like, you know, the basic, like, events. No, she really just told her everything. Alright.
これ。
Good news. Good stuff. It was the picture Nono had been looking at a moment ago. There was Nono, Kurisu, Masashi Kawahara, and one more child. Senri Minami-sama. Also, this is adorable.
So, ではここでもう一度こちらの歴史シールがどういうものかを見てみましょう。まずこの歴史シールというものが最初に街中に貼られ始めたのは2007年頃だそうですが、果たして誰が何のために貼り始めたものなのか詳しいことは分かっていません。ただのいたずらだとも、あるいは宗教的呪術的な意味があるとも言われていますが、それも単なる噂の域を出ません。ただこの歴史シールが最近になって大量に貼られ始めたのには何らかのメッセージが込められているのではないかとインターネットなどでは話題になっているということですが、ここで若者のサブカルチャーなどに詳しいゲストの方を。
ここも
誰が何のためにやってるのかわからないなんて気味悪いですよね。
ここも
この歴史シールと言われるものがデザイン的にどうであるかという点を考えてみますと、
Every channel I looked at was talking about the sumo stickers. The world was talking about the sumo stickers a lot more than I expected them to. Everyone was getting excited over old news and old theories. But none of them had reached the same conclusion I had yet. Well, of course they hadn't. It was way too far-fetched. But a while ago, I'd been confident. I'd been sure of my theory. And Kunosato and Arimura had confirmed it. Unfortunately, that now makes you a target. Which sucks. I didn't believe in it anymore, or more specifically, I didn't want to believe it. Because if those powers existed, it meant that I might be a victim too. I might eat my own hand, or rip open my stomach and shove a speaker inside, or have my head ripped off, or my stomach filled with pieces of paper with faces on them. I might meet the same end as all the others. A sliced arm, a bloody stomach, a severed head falling off its neck, eyes that wept blood, a wide open mouth, the sumo stickers pouring out of it. Yeah, it's not good. If that happened to me... No way. I don't want that. No.
ではもう一度実物をご覧いただきましょう。これが歴史シールと言われるものですが、
Don't look at it. He looked at it. Close-up of the sumo sticker appeared on the screen as the announcer spoke. Ugh. The instant I saw it, I leapt out of my chair, hallucinating that all the nightmares I'd seen so far were real booting and attacking me. I closed my eyes so I couldn't see the sticker. Yeah, at this point, that's gotta be hell. These things are everywhere.
これはデザイン学校の学生が自己表現のために貼り始めたという話もありますが、どんな理由であれ迷惑行為であることに変わりはありません。
I fearfully opened my eyes and tried to catch my breath. The sticker on the screen was still staring at me with its creepy face, but nothing had happened to me. I'd seen the 11th Rorschach image in the basement of that hospital. That was the real sumo sticker, and it had a terrifying effect on me. But many of the stickers that were showing up around town were fakes, put up by people hoping to be part of the latest fad. They had no effect on me at all. It finally calmed down, so when I suddenly heard a loud voice next to me, I jumped up again. Hi, welcome back. I recognized the voice, but still I fearfully turned around. I suddenly felt so tired that I almost dropped straight to the ground, but managed to stop myself. This poor guy is on the absolute edge.
外に聞こえるくらい大きな声出して、近所のみんなびっくりしてるよ。
今のはその発声練習だ。
Good cover. Serica looked at me, worried.
でもタク、顔が真っ青、ひどい汗だし。
Serica took a handkerchief out of her pocket and tried to wipe away my sweat.
いいよ、自分でやるから。
I grabbed the handkerchief from her and scrubbed the sweat off my forehead.
これ明日洗って返すから。
気にしなくて OK だよ。タクの汗だったら汚いとか思わないし。
少しは気にしろよ。で、こんな時間に何の用だ？
I put the handkerchief in my pocket. Her face took on a much more serious expression than usual as she slowly began to talk.
のんちゃんの話をね、聞いてあげてほしいの。
クルスの今から？
のんちゃんはね、明日でいいって、学校が終わったら青葉寮に来てほしいって言ってるけど、でも本当はタクにすぐにでも聞いてほしいんじゃないかなって思うんだ。
そんなに大事なことなのか？
うん、私が話しちゃってもいいんだけど、のんちゃん自分でお話ししたいって。
そうか。
Serica never took anything this seriously. It must have been something important.
わかった。これから青葉寮へ行ってみる。
オッケー。さすがタク、優しいね。
She grinned and giggled a little, then grabbed the handkerchief out of my pocket.
いいからいいから、タクの汗の匂いをじっくり堪能するんだ。
やめろよ。
Excuse.
それじゃあまた明日。
I was waiting for just kidding. It didn't happen. All right. She squeezed her Garo Froggy strap to say goodbye, then spun around and left the RV. I watched her go until she was out of the park.
クルスの大切な話。
As soon as she was gone, I tried to think. What could she want? Did it have something to do with what happened? The idea scared me a little, so I got ready as soon as I could and left the RV. I hurried down the usual route I took to the Aoba dorm. But... Oh no. Something was different. Something wasn't the same as it had been before. Something was wrong. I'd just come by this path on the way home from school, but... So what was this strange dissonant feeling? What the... what? Why? What and why? The walls, the fence, the streetlights, stickers were staring at me from all directions. All of them were real. Not one of them was fake. It was that eerie 11th Rorschach image. Oh no. The scenery in front of me suddenly warped and twisted. I felt the mountain view I'd just drank coming back up my throat, and tried my best to keep it down.
やめろ。見るなよ。僕を見るな。僕は能力者なんかじゃない。お前たちに狙われることなんてないんだ。
No, even if Arimura and Kunisada were right, and I did have some kind of power, it was only a tiny little power, which I couldn't master and wasn't even good for anything.
だから僕なんか狙っても意味ないんだよ。やめてくれよ。
Oh, God. Why with the baby crying? Why? Oh, why with the multiple babies crying? I heard a strange voice from somewhere. Like a cat in heat. No, this was... I hate it. It was the sound of a baby crying? But I doubted there were any babies in this park. So what was that voice? And then, all the stickers that were staring at me. No, I don't with the eyes. Oh, smiled. Then slowly... Slowly... Their eyes... I don't like it. Oh my god. I hate it. I hate it so much. Opened. I ran as fast as I could, not caring where I went. I just needed to escape from the 11th Rorschach somehow. But... oh god, I hate... oh, it's awful. Horrifying. No matter where I went... no matter where I went... here... and here... and here... There's so many of them. Were there really this many sumo stickers in Shibuya? How did I never notice? What? Those damn sumo stickers! They crashed my game! What? Come on, really? What the fuck? What? Damn you, sumo stickers! You can't... Let's try this again. God damn sumo stickers crashing my Nintendo Switch. You bastards. That was unreasonably funny. Okay, problem. We're gonna have to, I assume it will have saved upon entering chapter 6, right? No. Yes. No. Oh boy. Alright. We're, wait, no. Okay. No. Okay.
人の
I can't believe that happened. Sumo stickers crash. I'm not changing a thing. I just want to get back to where I was just a moment ago. They really are that powerful, huh? Don't underestimate that 11th Rorschach. Its power extends even beyond the confines of the video game console. Oh my lord. How's today going? I asked to no one in particular. My day's been pretty good. I'm getting pretty hungry. I might have some dinner here in a bit. Lunch, something. A little late for lunch. My nephew's staying over. That's fun. He's a rambunctious little rascal, that one. Thinking about getting my hair cut. It only goes halfway down my back at this point, so, you know. We're getting there. In fact, here, let me take this moment to... Apparently I need to make, like, safety saves. I didn't expect... Because, you know, in Persona 3 Reload, you gotta make safety saves in case you die, or in case, you know, you die. There's no dying in here, in this one. Like, it's... So, I gotta figure it, I'll just save when I'm done. Apparently, you can die. I don't think they intended it to be that way, but, gotta be careful. That's... Alright, we're here. Almost. Not quite. I'm gonna make another safety save. Make the same safety save. Overwrite that shit. Somebody shut that kid up! Is it here? We're getting there. How did I never notice? Stop it. Don't do it. Here, it crashed right there. Hold on, let's save it. Alright. So did that suck like a majority of the tension out of this little bit, but it was funny, so it was worth it. And it's not like I did it, but it was funny. Alright. Serious. No matter where I went, it was like they were following me. Oh my god, I really don't like them when their eyes are open. I don't like it at all. It's not fun to look at. It's upsetting. I had no idea how long I'd been running from the phantoms of the sumo stickers. No matter where I ran, the whole city of Shibuya was covered in sumo stickers. And each time I saw one, I felt sick, dizzy, as if I was going to throw up. They add that to the exhaustion from running, and I was barely able to stand. Just when I'd reached the conclusion, there was nowhere left in Shibuya for me to rest anymore. I saw a silhouette crouched in an alley. It was a person clutching their arms to their tiny body. They looked like a stray cat. It was so different from the girl I was used to It was so different from the girl I was used to that at first I thought I must be mistaken. Oh. It's Arima. When she looked up, I saw that it was her.
有村。
宮代先輩。
何してるんだよ。こんなところで。
ちょっと気分が悪くて、あれのせいで。
Arimura pointed behind her, but didn't turn around. That was enough to tell me what she was pointing at.
力士シールか。
そっか。先輩も。先輩もひどい顔してる。ダメなんでしょあれ。
違う。僕は。
I didn't want to admit it. If I admitted it, that would mean I had a special power like Arimura, and that my life would be in danger. That would mean that instead of me going after the case would be going after me.
なんだか急に数が増えたと思いませんあれ。
Arimura's voice was so soft that it was hard to hear her.
今テレビなんかでも話題になってるから、長尺ドンまで寄ってたかって張りまくってるんだ、きっと。
しかも偽物だけじゃなくて本物のシールまで。迷惑です。
まったくだ。そういう連中はすぐに飽きるとは思うけど。
だといいんですけど。
とりあえず青葉院へ行こう。僕やクルスが育った養護施設だ。そこなら診察室があるから具合が悪くても休める。
はい、すみません。
立てるか。
それくらいはできます。
She forced herself to smile, then ignored my outstretched hand and stood up on her own. Getting to Aoba Dorm was a miserable experience. I could feel the influence of the sumo stickers increasing with every step I took.
大丈夫か。
はい。
Or so she said, but she didn't look good. And I wasn't in a position to be worrying about anyone else either.
早く青葉寮へ。
That was the one thought that drove me forward. But suddenly... Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's real not good. She appeared before us. A woman. It was a woman with a strange presence. If we'd been on one of Shibuya's typically crowded streets, I doubt I would have even noticed her. But on this empty street, she was impossible to miss. Her long hair covered most of her face. And with the streetlight to her back, I couldn't read her expression at all. But I could see the strange, hungry light that shone from her eyes through the thick hair that otherwise concealed her features. It was a dark light, one that somehow brought a deeper blackness, not illumination.
先輩。
Arimura's voice was shaking. She realized how strange the woman was, too. And then... my eyes met hers. The next instant... she laughed, or so it seemed to me. Her laugh was empty, but at the same time, somehow satisfied. It was a laugh like evil itself, and it was like nothing I'd ever heard before in my life. And then, in a raspy, unpleasant voice, she spoke.
見つけた。
この女やばい。
Alarm bells went off in my mind.
やばい。絶対やばい。
This is really bad.
やばい。やばい。やばい。やばい。やばい。
My knees started to buckle. My instincts told me that she was dangerous. Arimura was staring at the woman, not moving a muscle. No, she probably couldn't have moved, even if she wanted to. It was like we were paralyzed. Arimura barely got out the words. A psychic. I didn't want to admit it, but just looking at the woman in front of me was enough to dash all my hopes. This woman, her very existence was enough to make me believe.
有村、
なんですか？
あの女の能力ってのはどんな？
I didn't know about any of the Gigalomaniac's powers besides Arimura's. But from what I'd seen so far, some of them were a lot more dangerous than the ability to tell when someone was lying or telling the truth. There had to be more types, for instance, ones that could be used as weapons. Like telekinesis, for example. There was no doubt in my mind that this woman had that sort of power. Didn't matter whether I believed or not. How could I not have the information I needed at a time like this?
有村、
そんなの私にもわかりません。テレパシーなのか、プレコグニションなのか、クレアボヤンスなのか。ただ
Arimura's eyes were fixed on a single point. She probably couldn't look away.
あの人の能力はもっと危険な、人に害を与える力だと。
The woman started walking sluggishly toward us. Slowly, slowly. I finally realized that the reason she seemed to be off balance as she walked was that she was dragging one leg. Maybe she'd injured it, or maybe it had never worked right. She approached us one step at a time, as if enjoying our fear. She took another step. A horrible smile was frozen on her face. Her eyes were looking straight at us, as if she didn't want to let her prey escape. My body wouldn't move. My body had turned to stone, as if I'd been stared at by Medusa. And then suddenly, the wind blew. The woman's long hair flew up, and I could see just a little of her face. Arimura gasped. The woman had been terribly burnt. Her face was covered in horrible burn scars. The smile disappeared from her face. Instead, it was replaced by rage. There was nothing there but burning rage and the color of anger. She slowly brought her hands up, and then pushed them out toward us. Oh shit, pyrokinesis? That's not good. Arimura screamed and pulled at my hand as hard as she could. A pillar of flames sprung up right where I was standing. There was a blast of heat and the awful stink of burning asphalt. A burning pain ran through my cheek as the heat struck it. Yeah, this ain't good. This is bad, bad, bad. She waved her arm, and in the next moment, the space in front of me was a sea of crimson flame. Arimura and I tried our best to get away from the fire. I knew that meant the ability to create fire. If I remembered right, it was a word created by a famous novelist. All over the world, there were historical records of unexplained fires breaking out for no clear reason. Spontaneous human combustion, where a human would suddenly burst into flame, was one of form those incidents took. Of course, spontaneous human combustion was considered pseudoscience, as most scientists believed those incidents were actually caused by static electricity or EM waves. And now, real pyrokinesis was happening right in front of me. The next thing I knew, the woman was stretching her hands out toward me. I rolled along the ground with Arimura at almost the exact same moment the fire exploded outward. The smell of burning hair stung my nostrils. We kept moving away, only barely dodging the burning flames. Pillar after pillar of fire appeared behind us. It looked like the flames had spread to a bike and some garbage that had been lying by the wayside. Oh my god, the roadside. But I didn't have time to check. The woman was getting closer, dragging her leg as she walked. I tried to grab her hand and run, but fire appeared right in front of us, and as we tried to dodge it, we both lost our balance and fell to the ground. The planter next to us was on fire. I looked up as the footsteps got closer and saw that the woman was right on top of us. That was what was going through my mind as I lay there, frozen in terror. This wasn't an anime or a movie, this was a reality. The pain from where I'd hit my leg when I fell, the pain from the burns, all these flames, the smell of melted asphalt, it was all real. Kunosato had said that the Gigalomaniac's power came from delusions. And not just any delusions. These delusions affected the brains of others, and through being shared, they became reality.
物理現象すらねじ曲げるんだよ。ギガロマニアックスの妄想とそれによって共通認識化された現実はだからこそそれはこの上なく危険なんだ。
Yes, and because of that, impossible pyrokinesis was happening right in front of me. And that power was going to kill me and Arimura. Illusional flames would become reality, and in that reality, we were going to be burnt to death. Oh my lord. The woman slowly pointed her hands toward us. Maybe I was imagining it, but the air around me seemed to grow hotter. I don't think you're imagining it. I don't want to die. I don't want to be roasted to death by these flames. No, I don't want to die. I still... A bigger spiral of flame than any we'd seen before appeared before us. But at the same time, something strange appeared in the corner of my eye. Frighteningly sharp. Grab that shit! Grab that shit! But frighteningly fragile. Infinite and finite. Phantasmal and real. Like all the ugliness and beauty in the world had been compressed into one object. It's pretty cool. It was a D sword. It was clearly a different shape than Arimura's, but still, I could see it. But since I didn't know how to draw it, I just desperately struck the woman with every delusion I could muster. I imagined the sword slicing through her flames, and flung that image at her with my imagination. The burning fangs that threatened to engulf the two of us exploded. And then the fire danced like a snake. It flew in a straight line toward the woman who had created it. The fire turned into a spiral that leapt at her. She fell over in shock.
Senpai!
I don't think this is the time for questions. It's time for escaping. Was that my power? While I hadn't been looking, the D-sword had vanished from my vision.
Senpai!
Arimura suddenly fell silent. I turned to see what she was looking at. As the air rippled from the smoke and heat of the flames, the woman slowly stood up. I gasped at the color of her eyes. The fire that had been there a moment ago was gone. The light that burned with hatred was gone. There was only ice. Her eyes were ice, frozen, emotionless, and piercing. Arimura and I couldn't move. Slowly, with an unsteady rhythm, the woman approached us. And then stopped a few steps away. Smoke was rising off a garbage bin behind us. Planter by our side was making crackling noises from the heat. There was nowhere to run before us, behind us, or anywhere else. I couldn't even hear the bustle of the town, but the beating of my heart sounded even louder. The sound of my saliva running down my throat, the sound of my breathing, the sound of my blood flowing, all of those sounds offered proof that I was still alive. But soon they would be gone. They would all disappear inside the burning flames. My legs shook. My eyes blurred with tears. I could barely speak, but the woman's expression didn't change, not even a little. And as she raised her hand toward me, I closed my eyes. I was going to... Huh? I slowly opened my eyes, and then the woman was gone. Was I saved? All the strength drained from my body, and I collapsed to the ground. I thought I was a goner. I thought she would kill me for sure. No, until a moment ago, she was definitely going to kill me. I could tell from her eyes. They were cold, without a trace of doubt, uncertainty, or hesitation. So why had she suddenly disappeared?
Arimura.
I looked up and saw that Arimura was standing there, staring at the spot where the woman had disappeared,
先輩。
どうしたんだ有村。もしかしてまだ何か。
そうじゃないんです。ただ怖くて動けない。
Fair?
ここですか？
とりあえずここなら平気だと思う。
After the attack by the pyrokinetic woman, I'd finally fled with Arimura to Alba dorm. I could probably get treatment for my burns here.
閉まってるか。
The front door was locked. I'd been so busy running that I'd forgotten how late it was.
鍵まだ隠してあるといいけど。
I'd been given a key to the dorm, but I didn't usually carry it on me. But when I'd lived here, there was a spare key hidden on the grounds. I decided to look for it.
あった。
Fortunately, the key was right where I remembered it. Part of me thought it wasn't a good idea to leave it in the same place all the time, but today I was grateful.
ほら、そこへ座って。
As I went into the exam room, Arimura still stood hesitantly by the entrance. I motioned for her to sit in the exam chair.
その怪我の治療だけど。
ご心配なく、これくらいなら自分でできますから。
そう。
Good. I'd gotten a little used to it, but I still didn't like the idea of touching her skin.
ああ、消毒液とかこれ使って。
I got some medicine, some cotton wool, and some adhesive bandages off the shelf and handed them to her. Since this was a clinic, a lot of the medicines were for use by professionals, but they were labeled in clearly written Japanese, so there was no way I could screw them up. Every time a new drug came in, it was Kurusu's job to make the label and stick it on. She always said that if she didn't, Yui, Yuto, and I might take some by accident. She'd always been the type to worry about things like that. I'd always been told to make sure to straighten my shoes up when I took them off, or not to put my socks in the laundry inside out. She'd made me help with a lot of the cooking too, didn't she?
って何考えてんだ、僕は。
I shook my head, shocked that I was thinking about those things when something much more important was going on.
宮代先輩はここでクルス先輩たちと一緒に暮らしてるんですか？
The disinfectant must have stung because she was wincing.
暮らしてたんだよ、少し前まで。
じゃあ今は？
今は別の場所で一人で暮らしてる。
一人暮らしですか？いいですね。
まあね。有村は？
I hadn't really meant anything by it. That was just where the conversation was leading.
知りたいですか？
あ、いや、言いたくないならいいんだけど。
いいですよ、別にそれくらい。私は親戚の家で暮らしてます。実家ちょっと遠いので。
そうか。
If she was jealous of me living alone, did that mean she wasn't getting along with her relatives?
あ、言っておきますけど、別に親戚の家でいじめられてるとか、そういう昭和のドラマみたいなことはないですから。
え？
いえ、変に誤解されても嫌だなと思って。
別に誤解なんてしてない。
やっぱり思ってたんですね。
That's right, she had that power. Having her know if I was telling the truth or not made things difficult.
でも
Just tell the truth. It was probably difficult for Arimura herself to know what someone was really thinking, whether she wanted to or not. That's honestly also a good point. That can't always be easy. That sort of thing explained how she acted at school. Unless she kept things on a superficial level, acting like a goofball and telling jokes, she'd know what everyone really felt, and it would crush her.
はい、終わりました。先輩もどうぞ。
Since Arimura seemed to have finished, I sat down in a chair to take care of my own injuries. Yeah, truth is like the most important thing to me, but even I think even I would, if it, like, break after a certain amount of time of being able to always tell if someone's lying or not. Oh god. Yeah, I think even I would eventually, like, snap. At the same time, the door in the back softly opened.
誰？タクル？
Hi, it's us. We're horribly injured. Don't worry. Oh no. I had hoped that Kurisu would be asleep. No, I had actually come here to talk to her about something important. But after the pyrokinetics attack, I decided against it. If she saw me injured like this, she would have worried, so I'd planned to talk to her tomorrow instead.
何か音が聞こえるから気になって、こんな時間にどうし...
And then she realized that there was another girl in the room.
有村さん？お邪魔してまーす。
違うんだ、これは。
I wasn't out on some kind of weird late-night date with her, and then we got into a big fight where both of us got hurt. But before I could say something, which would probably only make her more suspicious, Kurisu saw us both and went pale.
二人とも怪我してるじゃない。
これは。
I knew this was coming. Her own injury hadn't healed yet, so when I saw how worried she looked, it pricked my heart.
貸して。手当て必要なんでしょ？いいから貸しなさい。
Kurisu grabbed the medicines I was carrying and started to patch me up.
いやいや、もう大丈夫っすよ。私はもう自分で。そんな適当な処置じゃダメ。後になったらどうするの？でもは聞きません。わかったわね。はい。
Kurisu's no-nonsense attitude was enough to overwhelm even Arimura. She sat still and let Kurisu do whatever she wanted. Once she was finished, she started on me.
で、何があったの？
それは。
Yeah, it's a rough... that's a rough one to answer. What was I supposed to tell her?
できるだけ驚かさないように伝えるべきなんだろうけれど。
私たち襲われたんです。
ストレートすぎるだろ、有村。
Arimura came straight out and told her while I was hesitating.
襲われた？はい。炎を操る力を持った女に。
Alright, here we go! Kurisu's expression started to cloud over.
だから有村、余計なこと言うなよ。
I glared at her, but Arimura just shook her head.
こういう時は変に隠すとかえって嘘っぽくなるんですよ、先輩。相手にも余計な心配をかけます。
I mean, honestly, I do respect it. Like, at this point, yeah. Like, she's not gonna believe it. It's gonna create... I mean, I don't know, maybe she will.
つーか、宮代先輩の嘘って私の能力なんかなくても分かりやすいですし。有村さんの言う通りだわ。ちゃんと話して。
I guess I didn't have a choice. I told Kurisu what had just happened, carefully choosing my words so as not to scare her. While I spoke, I had flashbacks to the terror I'd felt during the attack, and my voice started to shake, but I couldn't help that. If anything, it probably makes the story more believable.
わからないんだ。でも、 あの女は間違いなく僕たちを狙ってきた。
Everything I said sounded unrealistic, even to me, but Kurusu intently listened to every word. She just sat there and listened.
宮代先輩、
Arimura suddenly looked at me and spoke.
見えますかそれ。
Oh, there it is again. Only then did I realize I'd been so busy talking that I hadn't noticed, but something had appeared in the corner of my vision.
これは
When I remembered the terror that I'd felt during the attack, had it brought this back as well? There was no mistaking it.
ディソード。
I whispered the words myself and tried to visualize it once more clearly. And then... Gimme. Gimme, 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 gimme. The hazy, indistinct image began to take shape. I reached out my hand towards the bizarre object, but...
なんだこれ、どういうことだ。
Not yet. For some reason, I couldn't touch it.
タクル？何をしているの？
剣があるんだ、ここに。
剣？やっぱり出せるようになったんですね。自分のディソード。
Well, not quite, Arimura said.
自分の。
はい。それが先輩のディソードですよ。ディソード。
An illusory sword that could only be seen with the power to make delusions real.
僕はやっぱり能力者なのか。
Yeah.
だからず
Sorry,
っと
bud.
言ってるじゃないですか。そうだって。
じゃあさっきの女、あれはやっぱり僕を。
だと思います。私を狙った可能性ももちろんありますけど。
Poor Kurisu's just like, what are you talking about? What I'd been afraid of had become real. That woman, her eyes, her appearance, and her flames. The burn marks on our bodies told me this wasn't a dream, it was real. At this rate, I would be killed, like the victims in Don't Look at Me and Revolving Dead.
どうして。
Why was this happening to me?
有村さん。
Hi, I'm here too. Kurisu suddenly interrupted our conversation.
なんでしょう。あなたの知っていること、全部私に教えて。どうしてですか？誰が何のためにこんな事件を起こしているのか調べるの。
おい。
Stunned, I leaned in toward Kurisu.
お前、事件には関わるなってずっと言って。
でももう遅いんでしょ？この先もタクルや有村さんが狙われるかもしれないのよね。
クルス。
I'd noticed earlier that something seemed a little strange about Kurisu. She told me so many times not to get involved in anything dangerous that I was sure when I told her what had happened tonight, she'd freak out. That's why even when I'd fled here, I still hadn't wanted to see her. Oh. But after I told her, instead of looking angry or raising her voice, her expression was firm and resolved.
のね、タクル。セリカから聞いてるかもしれないけど、話しておきたいことがあるの。
ああ。
実は私、あなたに言ってないことがあって。
言ってないこと？
I felt a sudden pain in my heart. Her words reminded me of last time when I was told that my parents were murdered. And I found out the family rule at Aobadorm that nobody kept secrets didn't apply to me, just everyone else. And I found out that I was the one person who was different from the rest of the family. And I knew Kurusu remembered it too. She had almost brought herself to the verge of saying something, but her memories came back and stopped her. She kept opening and closing her mouth, only to finally fall silent. I almost never saw her like this.
クルス、僕なら大丈夫だ。
I balled my hands tightly into fists, as if I was trying to tell this to myself too.
今の僕はあの時とは違うよ。多分。だから聞かせてくれ。
タクル。
Was I just imagining things, or did Kurusu's eyes get a little wet? I couldn't bear to look at her, so I continued.
とにかく、言ってないことってのを聞かないと、何が何だかわかんないだろ。
そうね。そうよね。ごめんなさい。
And then she slowly started to speak. This is what she said.
今度の事件、私は無関係じゃないの。
I'd never even expected that. Kurusu was involved in the case? What did she mean?
この前、あなたたちが忍び込んだっていう病院ね。
AH 東京総合病院。
ええ、その病院の地下のこと、私、前から知っていた。
は？
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was so sudden and surprising that I couldn't even follow it. The basement underage Tokyo General Hospital. She knew about that terrifying place? Why? How?
昔、千里がね。南沢千里のことよ。
南沢千里？
I had to stop myself from reaching out and grabbing her by the shoulders.
どうして彼女？
それは、ね。
Kurusu paused and looked away. And then she showed me the phone in her hands.
これよ。
There was a picture on the phone. A happily smiling boy and two girls. The picture was old, but I recognized one of the girls as Kurusu and the boy as Kawahara. And there was a girl with them who had very gloomy eyes. It was without a doubt the girl whose data I'd seen in the facility, the one called Senri Minamisawa.
そうか。思い出した。南沢って名前、どこかで聞いたことがあると思ったんだ。
It was during the culture festival. Kawahara had said,
特に俺とあともう一人地震で死んじまったけど、南沢ってやつはいつもクルスと一緒にいた。3人でよくつるんでたんだよ。
川原くんが言ってた。南沢って子が一緒だったって。
そう。この写真を撮った頃の私たちはいつも一緒に遊んでいたのよ。
Senri Minamisawa, who had been subjected to those awful human experiments, used to be Kurusu's friend?
千里はね、毎週日曜日にあの病院に通っていたわ。
じゃあ、クルスは。
The back of my throat had gone dry and hurt terribly.
クルスは、あそこで何が行われていたのかも知ってたのか？
Kurusu bit her lip and slowly nodded.
当時子供だった私にはどうしようもなかったの。それが悔しくて悲しくて。
Kurusu looked down. Her face was twisted with pain, as if she was being tortured. She was a girl with a strong sense of right and wrong. Knowing that her friend was being experimented on must have been terrible for her. Did Kurusu maybe go through the same trauma that I did?
でも今はもう子供じゃない。逃げるわけにはいかないわ。私も事件のことを知っておかなきゃいけない。そうじゃないと誰も守れない。
クルス。
有村さん、お願い。全部教えて。
Was that really the right thing to do? I'd put Kurusu in danger before. Now I was sending her down a dangerous path again.
仕方ないですね。
待ってくれ、有村。
I tried to stop Arimura, but Kurusu cut me off.
ねえ、タクル。今日あなたたちに怪我をさせたのが誰なのか、それはわからないわ。けど、また襲ってくる可能性があるんでしょ？何も知らないままじゃ、私は何もしてあげられない。ただうろたえるだけで何もできない。そんなの嫌なのよ。だから全部聞かせて、私にも。羨ましいですね。
ん？
あ、いえ、なんでもないです。で、クルス先輩に話しちゃってもいいんですか？
ああ。
I slowly nodded.
でも有村、クルスを巻き込む前に一つだけ聞いてもいいか？
私にですか？
僕はお前のことまだよくわからない。正直信じていいのかどうかも。
なるほど、そうでしょうね。
でもなんていうか、今は悪いやつじゃないような気がしてるんだ。だから聞いておきたいんだけど。
だから何をです？
お前は少なくとも僕らの敵じゃないんだよな。お前のせいで僕の大事な誰かが死んだりしないよな。
Arimura thought for a moment as she looked at me and Kurusu in turn. And then...
まあ、さっきは宮代先輩に助けてもらいましたし、恩をあだで返すってのもどうかと思うんで、誓っときます。私のことは先輩たちの味方だと思ってて問題ないですよ。
そっか。
おっと、ただしベタベタ慣れ合ったりするのとか大嫌いなんで、その辺はよろしく。
Then she smiled just a little. Oh, that looks like a pretty big smile to me. That may have been the first time I'd seen a real smile from her. Oh. October 12th, 2015, Monday. It's still Monday. Alright, I'm calling it here. I gotta go. I gotta pee. I gotta eat food. That was a lot. I'm so invested in it. Like I feel like I'm more invested at this point in the story of this one than I was at like around the same time investment of Chaos Head. Like that one was also really it hooked me at a certain point, but I feel like it took longer for that one to hook me than for this one to hook me because I'm hooked. I'm hooked. But I do need to leave. That crash was hilarious, by the way. That timing on that game crash was quality. All right, I'm out. Bye-bye.